Welcome to Voice Notes Suck with Jay and Dave.
Series 1, Episode 7, Print on Demand. Today's episode of Voice Notes Suck is about print on demand, a service that has enabled any number of creators to sell their own merch. Today's episode explores the benefits and risks of implementing print on demand services for brands and creators, as well as talking about how it is a great way to market art, products or services.
Jay, I can't believe we've got this far this quick. This is episode 7 and we're going to be talking about printing on demand today, how that impacts the digital community or what impact it has on a digital community. And then we've got one more episode left in this series, and that's going to be a little roundup of how we think Voice Notes Suck has gone so far. I don't want to get too much into that at the moment, so I'll get distracted from the printing on demand topic that we should be talking about. It's not something I've got a massive amount of experience with. We've done a little bit of it at Crypto Goons, but beyond that, my only real experiences of printing on demand are as a customer.
Pod. It's known as Pod, Dave. And yes, we are drawing near to the end, which is pretty wild, really. I hope people enjoy it. I've enjoyed it, so that's something. I've had experience with print on demand. I think it's quite an efficient way of getting merch out there, but it's not very profitable. So you have to be mindful on how you do it. I've done print on demand books. I've used Amazon KDP. I've used T-Mill. I use Displate. Displate you have to be accepted and taken on board as an artist, but that's print on demand, like metal plates for artwork. And places like Redbubble, I don't like Redbubble. I think it's a really oversaturated market. I think people steal designs on there, which isn't cool. So, I'd always recommend T-Mill and Amazon KDP for books.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount. It's not very profitable, but then you don't have to have the risk. You don't have to have a big warehouse. You don't have to have the machinery, blah, blah, blah. So it's balancing that initial outlay and that risk versus the output. Yeah, Printify is the system that backs up Shopify, and Printify I think is free for anyone to use, but there's limitations in regards to making it your own storefront. Print on demand, Pod, as it's known. That was a band in the early 2000s, wasn't it? Pod, P-O-D, Pod. Anyway, getting distracted. Print on demand does definitely offer even the smallest brands the opportunity to create their own merch, which I think is super exciting.
Yeah, one of the biggest benefits of print on demand is drop shipping, isn't it? You can't really beat that. You could consider a print on demand service. They print it and then they deliver it to you, and then you have to deal with the shipping. But print on demand deals with everything. It's printing and the drop shipping. Like T-Mill, for example, who do the t-shirts, they do a few other things as well, a few other merchy items. Nothing extreme though. They're very sustainable, this is a bit of a plug for them because I think that they're a great company. They do delivery as well, and when we do our gigs with All Hail Hyena, we just provide QR codes if people want t-shirts. It's not quite the same. People can't see them and try them on, but we've got the pictures that they can look at, and then they can just order the right size. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think that's an awesome idea for a band. I think it would be better if you were wearing the merch, because then you've got a real life example in front of you. They can see the quality. So you have the QR codes, and then you're individually as band members wearing some of that merch as well. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's storage, it's convenience, it's organisation, it's postage. It's a hell of a lot of work that individual creative or an individual that's building a brand doesn't have to do. And doesn't have to pay for, and the cost is in the profit margins. So you sacrifice profit margins by gaining those other benefits in relation to print on demand, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I don't think it's a sustainable model for a business. I think it's good initially. It's good for marketing. And in regards to the quality of the All Hail Hyena shirts, our fans are usually wearing the shirts. So you can usually see the quality that way. We'll just get them to share them, just take it off and try it on, Got a lot of topless fans at our shows these days.
Well, what your fans do or do not do is entirely up to them. I just hope they're having fun whilst they're doing it. I think any small business, any small brand that is focusing on merch to deliver revenue streams to the business is focusing in the wrong place. I think they're good to help you get your brand out there, to help get visibility, and to give people an opportunity to support you with real life products / produce. And I think that's really, really important, certainly in the digital community, is to have that real, tangible, physical thing that represents stuff.
It's almost like your fans are paying for the marketing, isn't it?
It is a bit like that, and I would say a bit, not almost. Mainly because they don't have to buy that produce, that product. You're offering the opportunity for them to buy that, and then they're making the decision to buy that. The added bonus for your brand is that it's going to get seen in places that maybe it wouldn't have been seen otherwise. So your logo will be seen in a local pub, or at a local football stadium, or walking down the high street, wherever you are. Whereas that wouldn't have been the case before. So there's definitely benefits to brands putting merch out there, but it's always the end user's choice, the customer's choice to purchase that stuff. And that's why I don't think it's quite as severe as how you phrased it.
So from my own experience, fans supporting a band usually see it as a financial thing. Most of the time. So maybe the message that needs to be put across with print on demand stuff is support the band by wearing our merch wherever you go, so people see it and talk about it. Do you think that'd be the way? Or if it's a book, support the author by posting about the book.
Do you mean that your fans see that they're supporting you financially by purchasing your merch?
That's right, yeah. I mean, they like the band, and maybe most fans don't care what happens to that money that they hand over for that merch. I don't know. But I know that, as a fan of someone, say it's the Flaming Lips, for example, if I were to buy a Flaming Lips t-shirt, I would think, oh, I'm buying that because I like the Flaming Lips and I want to show everyone that I like the Flaming Lips. But part of me would also be that money's supporting the band.
Yeah, I think that comes down to people purchasing merch not necessarily understanding the profit margins available on these things. And then I think you're right. The message from the band needs to be, thank you so much for supporting us, for buying our merch. We really, really appreciate it. We need you to wear it, and not just to our gigs. We need you to show it off to everyone and tell them about All Hail Hyena when they ask questions. And then, of course not everyone's going to do it, but that's the messaging that you should put out there to help your visibility as much as possible as a band. At least that's what I think.
This is really hot marketing advice, This is hot stuff.
I've been thinking about the book side of things as well, because you mentioned that. And I think reviews, or sharing experiences of reading, for the squibbles specifically, sharing a video of you reading the squibbles to your little people, or writing a review, or getting your little people to write a review, or film a video with you and put it on TikTok. That these are the ways that you can encourage your supporters, your fans, to help boost your visibility in regards to the products that you've got available and the brand as a whole. And thank you for the lovely comments about my marketing input.
Oh right, no, I wasn't talking about you.
This is really hot marketing advice. What were you talking about then? Like, let's just get some clarity for everyone listening.
I was just talking about myself.
It took until episode 7 for us to devolve into complete silliness. I love it.
Well, devolution takes time, doesn't it? We're experiencing it across the world right now.
To go from talking about print on demand and merch to civilizational woes, that's a big jump. There is a link there though, and this push for more autonomy and a bit more individuality and the ability for anyone to chase their dream is kind of why print on demand has taken off as much as it has, I feel. And I do think that links into the other aspects that should maybe be a topic for another time.
Is it not just because people are lazy?
I don't know if other people are going to need clarity, but I certainly do. And some people are lazy, yes, but I have no idea what you're referring to.
Using print on demand. It's easy, innit? You don't really need to do much.
Yes, it is easy, but that's why the profit margins are small. Because it's easy. If it was hard, you'd have to take on all that risk. You'd have to buy all of the equipment. You'd have to get the insurance. You'd have to get the workers, the staff. You'd need the materials. Like, there's a huge amount of cost to printing badges or stickers or T-shirts or books, an absolutely huge cost that your average person just doesn't have access to. And print on demand gives them access to those type of products that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise. And thank you for clarifying, because I was genuinely like, I don't know where he's going with this. Now I know where you're going, and it makes a lot of sense.
It's all right, Dave. Don't be scared. I think that there's a premium though on print on demand. As good and convenient as it is, if you were to get 100 T-shirts printed locally, for example, it may cost you considerably less in comparison to the price of people buying merch via print on demand. And I guess that separates the two, doesn't it? If you're going to buy 100 T-shirts, then it's for profit, because it's merch profit. If you're going to use print on demand, then it's advertising and marketing. Is that where we're going, do you think?
I think that's as an overview, I don't think that's a bad place to I let go of the record button. I think as an overview, I think print on demand is mostly marketing with a little bit of an add to the revenue stream. And yeah, if you were to buy 100 T-shirts and then print on them yourselves, then you're going to be able to drive a lot more revenue out of that if you then sell them at your gigs, if you had a little table. That's definitely a way to look at it, but I wouldn't be dismissive of the revenue streams that print on demand can still bring into a brand. Like, just because it's a 5 or a 10% profit margin doesn't mean that it's negligible. A lot of sales will still add up.
Yes, I think it would take a considerable amount of time and a very high volume to do that though. How do you make that happen with print on demand? How do you do that?
Well, let's say this. You've got £25 T-shirts for sale. I've got no idea, but let's just say you've got T-shirts for sale at £25, and you can actually make £5 profit off of each unit sold. If you sold 500 units, that's £2,500. If you sold 100 units, that's £500. So I don't think it takes too long to add up, but you've got to make people want that product or need that product. Well, you can't make people need something. You have to highlight the need or the want, just like you have to do with anything else. And if we were only looking at unit sales of 100 to 500, how much would it cost you to buy a printing press to do that? Like, what are the other costs, and at what point does it flip? I think that if merch is your primary product that you are looking to that you're looking to sell, then you need to look for more sustainable ways to do it than print on demand. If merch is an add-on to the product or service suite that you're delivering, and it's just a way for people to show their support and to feel part of what you're doing as a brand, then I think print on demand fits perfectly as it is.
I mean, the other angle to it is you can buy the product at cost usually. So, for example, with books, that you can buy them at an author cost. So you basically just pay for printing and delivery, and then you can stock them in shops. So you could stock, you could buy, if you've got the capital to spend, you could buy, a bunch of copies and then put them in local stationery shops and even libraries and stuff. Similar thing with t-shirts, but they are a bit pricier, so you'd probably be better off going local if you were going to do that. The manufacturing cost of t-shirts is quite high, which is a reason why a lot of bands don't do it. They'll literally just direct people to print on demand. Well, not just bands, obviously, any business. So those are the two positive, uplifting parts of print on demand. I don't know why I use the word uplifting. It's weird.
Yeah, capital's the big thing there, though, isn't it? And, for startups, for small businesses, making decisions with how you spend your capital is really important to your potential success now and in the future. Got to be careful in how you spend what budget you have. I think if you've got the capital to create your own stock, I think that's a positive thing to do. I think it gives you more control. I think it gives you more power over things like prices, and it gives you an understanding. I also think that print on demand gives a lot of small businesses, startup businesses, small brands, the opportunity to build genuine brand power and to attach merchandise and other products to their overall offerings as a small business or brand. I really do think it's an important mechanism, and that it's offered a lot of opportunities to people. It doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean that there aren't ways that it can be improved. But like I said, it gives people an opportunity to get in on the merch aspect of things without having to have a huge amount of capital.
Okay then, so say we've got all that nailed down, everything's printed on demand. What's the best way to market that stuff? Because I know a lot of these print-on-demand companies do actually offer a certain amount of marketing tools. Teemill will give you a little website, a little landing page to put your merch on. Very good e-commerce store on Teemill. Amazon KDP provides you put your book in the store and stuff, but promoting that and marketing that, same with the other kind of merch, that's the difficult part. I feel that that's the hardest bit, is getting people to actually go there and buy stuff. That's the frustrating part for me.
I can understand that frustration, and I think anyone that's a small business owner, a startup company owner that is looking to market their products and services, they need to figure out which ones they should be spending their time and attention on. And for something like the Squibbles, I think the time is spent better elsewhere. For example, I think they're useful add-ons. I think they're a great thing for people to buy to feel like they're supporting you and to actually support you a little financially. But they're add-ons. They're not the main product. They're not the main service. So I think if you're a small business owner, a startup owner, a small brand owner, really have a think about what products, what services you want to push and sell. And I think the next thing is having all of this available on your website. That's the most important thing. You're an end user. So the most important thing in regards to your merch or print on demand stuff is that people can access it quickly, easily, and via your website. They're not directed all through the place. They don't have to click 20 different things to be able to purchase. It's available, it's accessible, it's easy to understand, and it's simple.
So website, shop, links, print on demand, job done.
Yes, exactly that. And then, when they're on your website, you have got the opportunity to control what they see and to direct them in certain ways. Obviously, you can't guarantee that someone's going to click something that you want them to click, but you can direct them to it and give them the best possible opportunity of clicking it. It's, I think what we've just said then is that it comes down to the customer journey and controlling as much of that as you possibly can as a brand. It's important, especially when you're printing on demand and essentially selling things via a third party.
I feel like the other aspect that we've not spoken about with print on demand is returns and complaints. You're not really responsible for that, I guess, when someone orders via a third party. If they're ordering direct, then you do have those logistics to consider, don't you? People are getting narky. This t-shirt's too small, kind of vibe.
That is 100% a benefit of print on demand is passing over all of the customer service aspects as well. Some of the problems with print on demand are getting things at the right quality and level of production that you want. Certainly when it comes to clothes and things like that. So I think it's important to do your research, and I think it's important to buy some products from the print on demand store that you're using so that you understand what the quality looks like for your customers, for your crowd, for the people that are buying your products and buying your services.
Do we have print on demand 3D models yet?
Funnily enough, it's been something I've been thinking about, especially now that we've designed and printed our own keyrings at Cryptogains and got them out to people. So I definitely think that's possible. I think you would still need you'd need to find a direct supplier. You wouldn't be able to find like a Printify or something similar, Shopify type thing. You'd have to have a connect direct with someone who had a commercial 3D printing setup.
It's definitely something that is got to happen. It's got to start seeing more of that kind of service, because people like that kind of stuff, don't they? Imagine being able to go onto a website and the creator has uploaded 3D models and the end user can go, oh, I like that one, I'll order that one, and then they click it and then it comes to their house in a box with a little note.
Well, what did you go and do that for? We've sailed past 20 minutes and you've opened up a whole Pandora's box of print on demand. I've got so many thoughts about that. Yes, it would be fantastic. I just think there's so much that goes into making a 3D model, certainly a specific one of a character. Like just the design on something like Blender is like, we know people, I know you playing with things like Blender, and I know how much time and effort it takes you to do something that you're relatively skilled in. So I just think there's a huge amount to it. But there would definitely be a demand, 100%.
Well, on that voice note, would you like to give us a summary?
Before I go and give a summary, I need to chuckle at the terrible pun you just threw down. I shall have a quick listen back and go do a summary. And then we should get started with our roundup episode for Series 1 of Voice Notes Suck. Anyway, back in a moment, or a day. You know how these things roll. So, it was more than a moment, but less than a day. I'm happy with that. This was episode 7 of Voice Notes Suck, and we spoke about print on demand, otherwise known as Pod. We chatted about a couple of different platforms that offer different products, the low profit margins involved with print on demand. Dropshipping allows small brands, startups, businesses to have their own merch. Real life products are really important to digital entities. Fans see merch as financial support to brands, and brands need to encourage people to share that merch because it isn't as much financial support as people might think. So get your fans wearing it in public, reading your books online, whatever it happens to be, get them sharing it, encourage it and celebrate it. Is it lazy to use print on demand? Arguably, yes. But the costs of bringing production in-house make it a very viable option for people. Is print on demand just marketing? Well, a large part of it is, especially for those smaller brands and businesses, it's getting your name out there and getting it seen. It's also a revenue stream, and that should never be dismissed. If merch is a primary product, then bringing it in-house has to be a goal. It's that simple. If it's an add-on to the other products and services you offer, then it gives you a lot of value. Capital's the main barrier to bringing merch in-house. How do you drive merch sales? You get people going through your website, you direct people there, you make sure it's simple and easy, and you offer merch that people want. Print on demand takes away the customer service aspects, the complaints and stuff like that. Make sure you buy your own merch to test the quality. It's really important if it's going out to people. And 3D printed merch, we both think it's a great idea. We've not got much idea on the costs or possibilities. Jay's been Jay, I've been Dave. This has been another episode of Voice Notes Suck. Until next time.
You've been listening to Voice Notes Suck with Jay and Dave.